So hello everybody and welcome to today's Get a Life moment with me, Lisa Davies, and I am joined today by a very, very special guest. Can you tell I'm a little bit excited? Rosanna Monachello, who I happen to I did bump into her at real life networking, but we didn't actually meet at that point. She just had a very impressive dress and hat on. I'll let her tell you more about that. But we met on online networking. It sounds like online dating then, no, online networking. And I thought, wow, this is somebody that I need to include on my Get a Life moment. So welcome, Rosanna.
Wow, that's quite some summation of who I am there. I feel quite in awe of what you just said. I was like, oh, is she talking about me?
Yeah, I'm talking about you. So
lovely to be here, Lisa.
Good. So tell us a little bit about Rosanna then. Who are you and what are you all about?
I'm passionate about living. I'm a multipotentialite, which basically in a nutshell means that I've worked very hard to be good at a lot of different things because I'm very curious, and once I start doing something, I'm all in or I'm all out. So I've had various phases in my life. Many lifetimes within a lifetime, I suppose you could say, of doing lots of different things, different vocations, different jobs, and different hobbies. And I'm now at a point in my life where I kind of bring it all together. Well, not all of it, but a lot of it. The things that light me up, the things that excite me and make me passionate, I incorporate into several income streams. So I'm a hypnotherapist, Reiki master teacher, EFT practitioner, and lifestyle business coach. And alongside that, I'm also a singer, and I also paint. There's one of my paintings behind me.
I was going to say, there's a beautiful piece of art behind you. Now, I know because I've been on Zoom meetings with you before, it regularly changes, doesn't it? That piece of art behind you regularly changes. I love that. So what I love that title, what did you call it again?
I'm so glad you asked, because I'm on a mission. This is like my mission statement, that I am on a mission to help people understand that not everybody should be doing just one thing. That some people actually need to ride several horses all at the same time, holding different reins, because that's just how they're built, right? So it's a bit like an ENFP type personality. Somebody who likes to have their fingers in lots of pies, and that's what makes them brighter and makes them more productive and more creative. So yeah, it's a person who basically has a penchant, a desire to do several different things, not at once. It's not the same as multitasking, because obviously I don't run all these income streams simultaneously, 5 days a week, 9 hours a day. So it's about dipping in, dipping out. But each one, it's a little bit like, when we were at school, we used to do different subjects, right? And you'd move from maths, and then you'd move to French, and then you'd move to English. And so you'd be fresh in each, right?
Yeah.
It's a bit like that.
So what are the best bits? What are the best bits then? Because it sounds like you're picking out the best bits of all the stuff you love.
I often get asked, which is my favourite? And I can't really say that there is an absolute favourite. And if I could, I'd just be running with that one, right? I'd just be focusing. That would be my speciality, and I'd be able to do that. But I can't choose. And I suppose that is the definition of a multipotentialite. It's like, I believe that we are, whole beings, and somebody who is a multipotentialite is like a slice of cake or a wheel with spokes. Probably a wheel with spokes is the better analogy. If you take one of those spokes away, the wheel is going to collapse under the weight of the vehicle, right? Or cart. Let's call it a cart and horse. Okay. And so it's a bit like that. If I take singing away, then singing is the frou-frou part, right? It's the job that I do that kind of lights me up from an aspect of, yes, it's for people because people enjoy it, and obviously if they didn't, I wouldn't be able to do it. But it's the part of me that lights me up for me. So it fills my cup in that respect. And if I don't have it in my life at all, I'm liable to get depressed, and singing in the shower is not enough.
Well, I've seen some of your morning Well, I'll let you give the title, but you do a morning broadcast, don't you? And you
I
call it
do.
a
Lively lick down. It's a play on lockdown, obviously. It started off as lovely, lively lockdown, and then one day, I think I said it wrong, or I just said it for a joke, and then I was like, actually, I like this. This is going to be that now.
And I've heard you singing in that.
Yeah,
There
I do
has been a
spur of the
little bit of
moment.
singing, yeah. Will we get a
Yeah.
little bit of spur of the moment singing in this Get a Life moment? Can
How
I?
about I end it on that? How about that?
We love
Yeah.
that. We love that. So, having watched some of those, there's this beautiful meld, of all the parts of who you are. So I've seen the singing, I've seen the coaching, I've seen the oracle cards.
Oh yes, I forgot to mention I do that again.
Yeah.
I don't forget everything I do.
But this is, I mean, you're a woman after my own heart, because people who know me will know that I have this kind of melding everything together, but you do it so beautifully. So how did that come about? How did you think, well, I've got all of these bits of cake or all these spokes of my wheel, and I need to kind of bring it together so it's got a meaning for people and it helps people move forward, like the analogy of the wheel, because of course it is progressing and moving people forward. So how did that come about? Was it purposeful or was it accidental?
It came out of a need, which is
Okay.
why I'm so passionate about, espousing this philosophy to people so that other people don't have to struggle so long in their lives to get moving, right? So I'd always been this way, but like everybody, I've been programmed by primary caregivers and school, etc., and society at large, to believe that we've got to choose, we've got to, we're brought up to think, and we're told at school, what are you going to be? And the presumption is you're going to be one thing, right? Or at least it was in my generation when I was at school. And you were kind of stressed about answering it, and I never felt I could answer it. I kept putting myself in a particular box. Okay, I'll do this, and okay, I'll do that, and no, that's not working, so I'll try that. And I've worked in almost every industry there is. I've worked in schools and church and a bank and a magazine and a newspaper and property. I've been in telesales, I've been in retail, I've been in fashion, I've been in catering. I've tried it all basically, which kind of makes me quite good as a business coach, because I've got a lot of experience in a lot of different businesses. But I would only ever last like a year, maximum 2, and then I would start going down. My mental health would descend, and I'd be like, oh, I've got to get out, can't do this. It's almost like it was like taking a cheese grater and grating my skin, metaphorically. It was like I just itchy scratchy had to get out. And then I think, oh no, that's not for me, I've got to try something else. And then in 2013, I was on my second marriage. I've only been married twice. And it was a particularly turbulent time, a very acrimonious divorce, very narcissistic person I was married to, and came out of that, and I was a mess. I was suffering post-traumatic stress disorder. And once after a brief spate of homelessness and staying on people's sofas and 3 days in a refuge and blah, eventually ended up in a safe place of my own. And I fell apart then. It's what I do. So I function really well when there's, an emergency. It's like me in lockdown. I was like, right, I can't see anyone else getting up and helping people carry on. I've got to be the resilient one. I've got to get out there and give them a free service so people can carry on. I'm like that. I'm like, give me a disaster. Great. And then it's afterwards I'm going to fall apart. And that is exactly what happened. I completely fell apart. I, stuck in the house, and I was going through my divorce. My solicitor knew what I was going through, and she was like, Rosanna, potentially you've got to consider you're never going to work again. And that was her case in the divorce. Yeah, and we had a psychiatrist, review and confirm that yes, potentially that would be the case, because nobody knew. It was like an unseen, quantity, right? And I was determined to heal myself. I was determined to find holistic means to get myself better, basically. And I remember going to the psychiatrist and going to the doctors and saying, there must be a pill for this. Please tell me I've got bipolar, because I know there's a pill for that. Right? I'm sure I've got bipolar. Just give me the pill. And I was referred to a psychiatrist, and I wasn't sort of officially diagnosed, but she did suggest that I, may have borderline personality disorder. And I guess that's part of where the multipotentialite comes in, right? Because there were clues there that there was, different factions of me, if you like. And I was like, oh, because I'd done my research, because I don't do anything by heart. So even before I got to the psychiatrist, I was going, right, what am I? What am I? So I knew as much as I could know as a layperson. And so as soon as she told me that, I broke into tears, because I knew there was no medication for that. And so I just ended up on this bandwagon. I was like, right, I am going to find myself a cure, or I'm going to find a way to manage this so that it doesn't impact my life, so that I can live fruitfully. And that's when it began. I started asking myself the question of, because I was at the bottom, right? I was right at the bottom of the well. It was a very dark well. I could see a little light up the top, and I was like, right, I've got to climb out of this. I'm right at the bottom. I can't go any lower. So I just said, Rosanna, the world is your oyster. What are you going to do with the rest of your life? This is your opportunity. And so I asked myself some questions. I asked myself, what have I always done that I'd loved? What have I always done that people had loved and respected me for? And what could I see myself doing that made a difference in the world? Because I'd already identified that I was passionate about helping people. And so I answered those questions with, at that stage, coaching. Because it was, mentoring was always something that I'd done as a volunteer. So I'd gone to community centres, and, when I was a full-time artist, I was an artist in residence in a community centre called The Bridge in Brighton, and I loved that. I did it for free, but it was like 10-hour a week, just doing it for the love of it. So yeah, that's how it began to be born. And then I added on to that Reiki, and of course, because I'd already had a stint with being an artist years before, and I'd already had a stint in my youth, right? Still young today, but when I was like between 18 to 30, I was like, yes, I'm going to be a professional singer, right? So I'd done these things before. So the further along I got in my personal development as a coach and as a therapist, the more I blossomed, and the more I started to think, right, let's bring these other things in, because I started to do my own analysis. And I had a very, very important moment with a lady called Alison Chester Lambert. She's a relatively famous astrologer, and we had an hour together. And up until that point, I was still very much on the path of, I've got to choose, I've got to be focused. And then I had this amazing meeting with this awesome woman. And what came out of that was this light bulb moment where she actually said to me, it was written in my astrology, in my star sign, in my Venus sign, whatever it is, right? And she basically said, you've got all these things that it's like reins you don't want to drop, and you can't choose, and that's fine. That's how you were created to be. And it was like this great big weight lifted off me. And it was like, finally someone gets me. And somebody gave me the authority to be okay with being like that.
It's interesting. It's so inspiring to hear that, because, it would be all so easy for you to have stayed at the bottom of that well, but not only have you recycled all of the things, all of your experiences from the past, and anybody who will know me, I have written about, nothing's ever wasted if it's recycled. So you've recycled all of those experiences, and you have challenged yourself to get out the bottom of that black hole, if you like, and seen the gift in it. It's sometimes, in my experience, people really have to get to that rock bottom place. I don't know if you've heard of Richard Wilkins, the Minister for Inspiration. He would tell a similar story, that sometimes we have to get to this place of no return almost in order to get the gift, to find the gift.
I can't tell you
and
how
from
grateful
there,
I am for those times. I wouldn't live through them again.
no,
It
no,
was
no, no,
hard.
yeah,
But even in those moments, I had particular mantras that helped me get through. So there were days where I was struggling just to get through the next 5 minutes. And then, you know, the fear thoughts start cramming. And you're like, this thought would come in, oh my gosh, what if I never get better?
mm,
And then I would turn it around and I would say, you will, and you can definitely get through the next 5 minutes.
yeah,
And I think just knowing that even in those moments, in those darkest moments where I felt like the whole world was caving in on me, knowing that I could get out, taking that power back. And the thought was, okay, well, I may never get out of this, but I'm never going to stop trying.
yeah,
And I made that decision, I made that commitment, and I tackled it in lots of different ways. So I fell into Reiki because I became quite like tenacious about finding resources and support, all for free because I had no money, right? I was actually on benefits at the time, and I was actually on PIP. I was that bad. And so I would do this research, and I was bedridden for most of it because it was agony just to leave my bed. I had that type of depression where it physically gets you. I felt like an old woman. So I spent most of my days just researching on the internet. And I would get, because, you know, I'm quite spiritual, right? I'm quite intuitive. And I would get these downloads. And one day I got this download that was Reiki. And I was like, what
even is that?
What's that? Yeah, I've never heard of it before, which is quite bizarre because I was living near Brighton at the time. It's quite a hippie area, right?
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I would have heard of it, but no, never. It was like a foreign word to me. So I was like, Reiki, right, okay, how do we spell that? I was like Googling it. And then these 3 businesses came up, and one of them was Harmony Healing. And I thought, oh, this lady, there was a photograph of the lady, Lenise Shaw, on this one website. I thought, oh, she looks angelic. I'm going to call her. I was thinking she's going to think I'm nuts. So I was like, hello, you don't know me. My name's Rosanna, and I just got this download.
And you look angelic. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what this means. Can you explain it to me? Because I see it's on your website. And she was the most fabulous woman. She went into like metaphysics and all sorts for about 20 minutes on the phone, and within 20 minutes I'd booked her for a session. And after my first session I felt considerably better. Certainly something mindset wise had lifted. I felt like some of the depression had lifted. And I went back a few times and then thought, actually, this is something I want to train in myself. But I also treated it with food, you know, just really basic, simple things. Like I started purchasing organic fruit and veg, lots of avocado and lots of mackerel, you know, just making sure I got all the right nutrients inside me, I'm sure really, really helped. And slowly getting into exercise and lots of meditation. I think I probably meditated about 3 or 4 hours a day at that time in my life.
But what an inspiration. And bringing you back to today, obviously, you know, you look well and happy and full of life and full of energy. So what a testament to those holistic approaches. Obviously, I'm an absolute convert, being a holistic therapist for 21 years. But I mean, such an inspiration. It couldn't be a better advert for, you know, taking care of yourself. And I understand that you've also developed your own healing modality now.
Yeah, I call it multi-level metamorphosis therapy, or MMT for short. Mamata. Yeah, so it's basically incorporating my coaching philosophy, which is very much spiritually led. It's about, I believe that there are 4 brains. There's a head brain, a heart brain, a gut brain, and a soul brain, as far as I'm concerned. And we align them all, and we check your alignment. We check what your core values and beliefs are. And basically, I do that primarily with the cards. So I use the oracle cards to do like an energy check, an energy and a mindset check. And the cards tell me things that people don't, can't, or won't. When I say won't, there's never anything that comes out that is against their will. It's just that they may not be able to verbalize it because there might be shame or guilt behind that. And sometimes it's once you just give a gentle nudge or an implication, and just kind of lay the bed, make it safe for them to think it's okay to talk about, then they will talk about it.
Yeah.
Sometimes, there's things in our past that we wanted to forget back then, and then we trained ourselves to forget them. So we have literally forgotten them. They're like
Yeah.
deep down buried in the subconscious. And once you bring those out, they can be really freeing and healing, because that hidden knowledge can lead to traits and types of behavior that can be really damaging in our lives. On the one side, there can be a hidden benefit to it, but on the other side, there's also a hidden injury, and the two often go together. And we can feel like we're banging our heads against a brick wall and always doing the same thing, causing the same outcome, but we didn't want that outcome. It's that age-old question: why do we do the things that we want to do, and why can't we do the things that we want to do? Why don't we do the things that we don't want to do, and why can't we do the things that we do want to do?
And do you find, I don't know in your experience, I mean, obviously myself, like yourself, I work both with people therapeutically and in a business sense. And do you find that the two cross over? Do you find that some of those blocks in terms of entrepreneurs or business people, some of those blocks actually lie in that place that we've just been talking about, in a more spiritual sense, where there's not alignment between those four brains? So do you find that you have clients that both work with you on the business side of things as well as the therapeutic?
Unquestionably. In fact, that's what I specialize in, because as far as I'm concerned, it's all connected. As far as I'm concerned, everything and everyone in the universe is connected. And everything is a domino effect to something else. And I'm always saying to people, entrepreneurs and business leaders, I always say to them, you are your business, or you are your charity, and your charity or your business are you. Right? Everything that we do is a reflection of ourselves, and our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs, our triggers, right?
Yeah.
If we don't deal with our triggers, then we're out there not only being triggered, but we're triggering other people, because we're doing things and making decisions from a place that is not aligned. And we're doing it potentially because we're driven by our childhood wounds. If we haven't done any sort of personal development work like you and I do, right? And I know you're a believer in this, I'm saying this for the audience. We're basically governed by that 7 to 12-year-old little child, right? That 7 to 12-year-old child is running our life, is making our decisions about our business. And when you realize that to be true, it's really life-changing, and it's business-changing. We could have money blocks that are laid down in a moment in our childhood, and it doesn't have to be massive trauma. Sometimes it's actually the things that it just think, well, surely that could not have caused it. But picture this, mum is standing at the sink doing the dishes, and phone rings, right? And you're sitting there in your high chair, maybe you're 3, right? Sitting in your high chair, and you're understanding a little bit by this stage, 3 years old, and everything's going in at that stage because we're like sponges. So you're absorbing it, and you're certainly mature enough to recognize emotion. Okay, so mum's relaxed, she's been chatting to you, maybe she's just fed you a bit of your soldiers with egg or whatever it is, and she's turned around, doing dishwashing, la la la, fine, and the phone rings, and it's her very rich friend on the other end of the phone, and she can sense she's getting more and more heated in the conversation, more and more disgruntled, and then she puts the phone down, and then she says, blinking, right, rich people are so selfish.
And there it is.
And that's
it. It's gone in.
Exactly. And sometimes it's those instances that are the hardest to shift.
So what are you loving in life right now? Obviously, we are starting to emerge from our staying at home, very careful use of language patterns there. We're starting to emerge out into the world very slowly. What are you loving about life right now?
I have loved very much being more or less as I usually am. I'm very solitary. I love my own company. So lockdown, or lick down as I call it, hasn't been very different to my normal life, to be honest. But what I have been missing is the in-person networking, the business networking, all my business mates, right? I've been missing that. So I'm starting to look forward to and feel like it's going to happen in the not too far distant future. I don't think everything will ever be quite the same as it was. I think a lot of us will stay possibly predominantly online. I can see myself working predominantly online. My one-to-one Zooms with clients are working amazingly well. But I'm looking forward to getting out and being more social. I am a hugger. So if anyone ever meets me in a networking meeting, I'm like, oh, come here. First thing I say to people is I walk up and go, hi, my name's Rosanna. Are you a hugger? I'd rather not handshake. I just believe in spreading the love and the light and just making people feel good. So I'm looking forward to getting back to that, because that's one of the things that I love doing. But I'm also looking forward to getting back out there and performing.
With that in mind, you promised us a song to end with. So what song are you going to treat us to as we wrap up our time today, Rosanna?
How about I sing you something that I find quite easy to sing, because I haven't like obviously sung today, and I've also got
put you on the spot.
Cough, so excuse me for my cough. You can edit that maybe.
thanks for that. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to sing you a little bit of What a Difference a Day Makes.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
I think that's quite in line with our message today.
It is.
Okay. What a difference a day makes. 24 little hours brought the sun and the flowers, where there used to be rain. My yesterday was blue deep. Now I'm a part of you, deep. Lord, what a difference a day makes. And the difference is you.
And the crowd goes wild. Thank you for that. And it's so true, isn't it? You make a difference. Whoever you are, wherever you go, you take yourself with you. So take your best self with you, because whatever you are feeling on the inside is projected into your outside world. And it's been wonderful for you to project yourself into the outside world with me today, so that they can benefit in that shininess. So as we finish, because we're on a Get a Life moment, what would be your advice? What's your Get a Life moment tip for us? Top tip for the audience?
Never compromise who you are.
Yeah. Be your whole self. Absolutely.
Integrate it all, find a way to make it work.
Absolutely.
Just keep going and keep moving and integrate your whole self. And
brilliant. And so if people want to find out more about you, Rosanna, and your work, where can they find out more information?
www.rosannamonachello.com.
Brilliant.
And then there's links to all my social media from there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. I just know the audience are going to love you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been awesome to come and chat to you.
You're welcome. It's been my pleasure.